Good afternoon, Shawn here with AO, ready for another mentor session. We need more and more questions, so you can get to the portal by going to the portal directly from your web browser or use the mobile application, bottom right hand corner, and go to the portal and ask a question. We're making it easy for you to ask questions. Need you to ask more. First question comes from Jonathan, and Jonathan says, how do I develop a sales pitch and process for calling on clients? The background is, I'm a realtor in New York City and I was thinking of calling on companies that have employees relocating. Any ideas of whom I should speak to, how to develop that lead list, and what am I asking them to provide me with? Okay, I've got about 12 different mentors answering this for you. I don't know how you would need to develop your lead list. You would have to determine what type of companies you're going to call on and what kind of companies do that kind of relocation. It's probably going to be larger companies. And if it were me and it's part of a larger company, I would probably start with the human resources director. So this might be the VP of human resources manager, human resources director, director of human resources. And if it were me, I like to call on an industry and a type of clientele in which I understand their business. I understand their challenges. I understand their budget. I understand who they might be working with already, who my competitors might be, what would make them go with one company or another, what the compensation plan would look like, what their type of processes are like. Whenever I'm going to call on any type of end user or ideal client, if you will, I want to make sure that I'm an expert for that person so I can speak their language, understand their processes, and be that much better for them. And that's going to get me more business. If you need to develop a sales process of what to say, how many times to follow up, and all that type of stuff, we've got monthly Zooms that can talk about your sales process. In the resource center of the portal, there's about 50, 60 articles in the sales section that talks about how to develop your sales pitch. There are a ton of different replays of Zooms in the 4 pillars sales. I would watch all the videos that Tom Black has done. I would also make sure that you have already developed some sort of brand strategy, especially your unique selling proposition, like what makes you unique for that client and who that ideal customer is. And then obviously you've got about 11 hours of sales training in ProCode Sales in the portal that you can go through as well. Ultimately, you might also want to, at some point, if this is something you really don't have a lot of expertise with, you might want to hire a sales coach like Tom to actually work with you for 3 to 6 months. I'm sure the average commission of each client you might work with would be thousands of dollars. Working with Tom is only $1,500 per month, and you'd have a professional sales training coach working with you, holding you accountable, helping you develop the scripts. Tom has a proven track record of success of helping people make more sales and grow their business. If I were an independent salesperson and I needed sales help because I just wasn't sure how to answer these types of questions, I would 100% start working with Tom immediately. Commissions, profits, that's the lifeblood of a salesperson, and I wouldn't want to try to do that without having a sales coach. When I had my last company, Shirley was a salesperson for me. We had a sales coach. Tom was a sales coach for us, and so it was something I believe in and something I know that works. So get a sales coach as soon as possible, but there's a lot of materials in the portal for you, Jonathan. Okay, next question comes from Vesna, and Vesna says, how should I financially account for gifts or tips I receive from clients? The background is I have an LLC, single owner in Florida, first year in business, and I've been doing free coaching sessions, 1 hour, in order for me to do a market research for a new 3-month coaching program and to get testimonials if the prospective client is happy with the session. The calls are only for coaching and no sales. Only soft mention for the beta program if they could be a fit at the end, or if interest, then additional strategy session about the program. I was surprised about receiving quote unquote thank you gifts to a personal Zelle account and gift cards after some of the free sessions and a higher amount for the beta program. Should I account for that as income? I have about 5-6 mentors answering this for you. If it were me and it was just a gift of a gift card or a gift of my personal Zelle of X, even a couple $100, I wouldn't report that as income. Not a big deal. They're not going to write it off their taxes. They're not going to send it to the IRS. This is just probably a tip, and you're going to be okay. If it's thousands of dollars and it's a lot of money that would add up, then I might start doing it. But if it's just a little bit here and there, I wouldn't worry about accounting for it. Now, is that legal, not legal? I don't know. If you want to know the legal accounting answer, I've got a couple accountants answering this for you, and they'll tell you. But if it were me personally, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't report it. Okay, next question comes from Vesna, and Vesna says, the next question comes from Vanessa, and Vanessa says, what platforms besides IG and Facebook do you suggest for sponsored ads? The background is I've been setting up my funnels for about a month, creating videos, email nurture sequence, the works, all in the attempt to automate the sale of my high ticket item. I was ready to launch my first sponsored ad last Saturday, and on Thursday, I got a notification that my ads account has been disabled. That was disheartening to say the least, and crazy demotivating. I have put in a request for review, but 4 days later, no responses. Since then, I've been trying to come up with other ways to market, like organic content marketing, but that takes so much longer, and now I have to create so much more content. Not to mention, it gets me fans more than customers. Google Ads is my next thought, but I wouldn't even know where to start since the last few months I've been learning all the ins and outs of Facebook and completely left Google to the side. Help. Okay, I've got a bunch of mentors answering this one. And of course, I've got experience with this from a social media marketing perspective because AO has been completely built from 100% organic traffic from my Instagram account and word of mouth from referrals from existing members. 250 members, probably about $500,000 in revenue per year. So not a bad little small business. And it was all from organic traffic. And yes, I have worked my butt off doing hours and hours and tens and hundreds of hours of live streams on Instagram and posting anywhere from 1 to 5 times a day on Instagram and all that type of stuff. It's just part of marketing. And I'm also looking for additional ways to create automation, and that's something I'm working on now. Here's my experience, and if you have a high ticket item, anything over $1,000 is what I've heard through my network of influencers and people that launch programs, that high ticket is going to be $3,000 to $5,000. Even $1,000 is not really considered high ticket, but $3,000 to $5,000. The only thing that gets automated in that is leads, not actual sales. I haven't heard of many programs that advertise on social media or even Google for that matter, and sell a $3,000 to $5,000 coaching program. They actually drive leads for people to book phone calls, and then the inside sales team, they actually close the deals. There are a couple people here in the group, especially Jesse Navarro. He is high-level expert at doing those high ticket. I mean, he's done 7-figure launches for other influencers that do high ticket sales, like Sam Ovens, Ty Lopez, and a few people like that. He has a ton of experience with that, and it is a very complex web to build out a system like that. Kristen Lattis, she's a copywriter. She has some experience with building out the sales pages and from a copy perspective on all those things, and she might have some perspective for you as well. So that's where I would look to. I would try to find a consultant like Jesse. Jesse is not cheap because all you need is 2 or 3 sales per month, and you pay for somebody like him at 10, 15 grand a month, and that's what they charge. This is kind of like you're asking a spider web of a question that one answer leads to another answer, leads to another detail, to another detail. Launching a business using social media is so much more complex than putting an ad on Facebook or Instagram and then buying some ads based on the geographics that is in the software of Facebook. It is so much more complicated than that. I know enough about it to be dangerous, but I would never do that myself because my personality is not for something like that. You want someone who has the high level, analytical, data-driven experience and mindset to run and manage that type of program for you so that you can focus on either A, doing the sales calls to close people, or B, actually working with the clients themselves. But you're walking into a major spider web there. And it's a major competitive world. It doesn't say here what you are selling, but high ticket coaching programs are so competitive these days, and unfortunately there's been a lot of people that have sold high ticket programs and not provided that great of value, and now people are getting a little bit sour on high ticket. Even just the term high ticket, they're getting really turned off. People love to pay for coaching, pay for mentorship, pay for certifications, pay for training, pay for advice, things like that. But it's getting much harder because of so many people giving it such a bad name out there in the last few years. If it were me, which I'm doing this, this is me practicing what I preach. I am actually working with Jesse. I've actually hired him, and he's going to head up my entire campaign for the new marketing program that we're going to put together for AO. So I would talk to Jesse, but Jesse's not cheap. Jesse is going to do a monthly Zoom on marketing and this type of stuff. I would certainly make sure that you watch out in the mobile app. He'll probably do this in July. I would certainly be on that Zoom that he does and pick his brain and ask him a lot of questions, and Jesse is absolutely amazing. Okay? All right. The next question comes from Vesna, and Vesna says, could you please advise about charging a value-based pricing model based on the results, example, a percentage of any salary increase the client receives, and not only on a fixed/hourly rate? The background is, I have a new coaching business, and I helped 2 people receive significant salary increases by doing an assessment and coaching them how to approach and negotiate. The latest one got 24% increase on his annual base, which affects his bonus, 401k, etc., or 120% more of the dollar amount that he was hoping he could get if successful. The other one received an offer and loved the new job role so much and wanted to accept immediately, even though she was expecting slightly more. I worked with her for a couple weeks on her negotiations, and the new employer revised the offer 4 times until she signed. The final offer was 45% higher, with a higher percentage for bonus and many extra benefits than the initial offer, and exceeded by far her own expectations. Thank you in advance. I appreciate a lot of your help. Okay, I've got a bunch of different mentors answering this one, about 10 or more mentors answering this one for you, so I'm interested to see what they would say. I love business models where you can say, you don't have to pay me anything except for based on my performance, a performance-based fee, if you will. Certainly, most clients are going to want to cap that at so much. Possibly. It really depends on your industry. If you're creating a whole new business model, it is what it is. A lot of this is one of the mentors, Paul David, is a recruiter, and so is Kale. He's a recruiter. So they're familiar with getting people jobs and all those types of things and what the going rate is for fees that you would charge. So I would pay particular interest to Paul and Kale's responses, because they're in this business of recruiting. And that's basically, you're not in the recruiting business, you're in the negotiation business. Interesting business model. And I think that quite frankly, I would think that a recruiter's job is to do what you're doing. So you might want to become a recruiter, because that's basically what recruiters do, is they negotiate on behalf of their clients to help them get more money, and they deal directly with the companies and what have you. I know that Paul David, one of the mentors, he actually has a coaching program specifically for recruiters, and some of his students are making some significant income and doing really great, and Paul is one of the best in the business. If it were me, and since I don't know this business, I would have to learn the industry and determine if that is a business model that can be developed. I would actually talk to guys like Paul and Kale and recruiting companies and find out if that kind of business model is something that could be done. I think it would be very challenging, maybe not, to just work with individuals and say, hey, are you trying to transfer from one job to another? Hire me and let me help you with your negotiations, and I will charge you a percentage of whatever I get you above whatever number you think you're going to get. Remember this in that situation, that if someone says, well, I think I can get 50,000 and you help them get 60,000, that's a $10,000 increase. Most people aren't going to say, okay, cool, I'll write you a check for 2,500, because they're getting that $10,000 extra over the course of a year, right? So maybe they might not have the upfront cash to pay you a percentage of the amount of increase that you get somebody. So I think it would depend on understanding the cash flow and cash availability of the clients that you're going to be working with. And it sounds like you're kind of getting into a little bit of the crossover of recruiting itself. And so I would certainly talk with some recruiters and get their feedback. I think they'd be able to give you a lot better feedback than I would do. That's what I would do. I would talk to Paul and Kale. All right, hope that helps. Okay, the next question comes from, this is the last question, comes from Kristen Lander, and she says, what can I do to continue to bring in revenue when clients are canceling due to the economy? The background is my coaching business has a very high retention rate, and clients normally work with us for 12 to 18 months or more. In the last 6 weeks, I've lost a lot of clients, citing the economy as their reason. I'm losing more clients than I lost even as at the start of the pandemic. I've got about 12 to 13 mentors answering this one for you, Kristen. This is a really tough one. You know, when an economy goes into a situation like we're getting into now, and it could get a lot worse, there will be a lot of businesses that go under. One of the things we have to do as a business owner is we have to look and see where we can cut costs, team members, staff, subscriptions, software, rent, anything and everything we can do to cut expenses while still being able to press the gas on sales and marketing to get business coming in. So we really want to be conscientious of our expenses. We want to keep learning about ideas and strategies that can grow the business. The next thing is some businesses, especially like luxury, retail, you know, certain types of businesses are want versus need, and wants do get cut out of budgets when people start to get a little bit thin on their cash flow. Something to take into consideration. The next thing you can do is offer payment plans, depending on how important and how needed or wanted your program is. So see if you can work on subscription or payment plans as opposed to a high ticket amount up front. See if you can spread it out and make it a longer term client. I would also start seeing if there's an ability to go wider with the types of products and services that you offer that can help offset one area and make it up in another. So like, say for instance, you were a fitness coach or something like that. What other products or services are your customers buying from other people that you could sell them, and they're buying it from you, and that keeps it all in-house? This could be subscriptions, it could be supplements where you could get paid an affiliate commission for telling people use this particular line of supplements. You get a commission from that company, 5%, 10% of the sale each time, which helps you build up some incremental income. So those are things that I would look at: food, equipment, supplements, anything and everything that could get you a little bit wider, so that you might be getting 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 here and here, and as opposed to 150 here and nothing here. Maybe you can drop your price and say, hey, since this customer is buying a lot of different things from me, this was a high margin item, but I have a lot more margin in that, so I can decrease the margin in that because it offsets with the additional things that they're buying from me. So those are some things to take a look at as well. Anything that you can sell that might be digital, that has a really high profit margin, you know, so some of those types of things, see if you can get wider with your product and service offering, okay? All right, I hope that helps. That was today's mentor session. Remember, you're gonna get an email with your answers from myself first, and then you'll find out which mentors are gonna answer this as well, and then you'll get emails every single time. I know Heather did a monthly Zoom last night. I hope you were on it. I'm going to try to make sure and do a monthly Zoom or a Zoom each and every week. I'm really going to try to do that myself, regardless of how many other mentors are doing monthly Zooms. I'm going to try to do a Zoom every single week myself, in order to make sure you guys have more access to mentorship and coaching here in the group. Okay? Hope you guys have a great day, morning, or night, wherever you are in the world. Get into the portal and ask some more questions. We need some more questions. The mentors keep saying, hey, Shawn, I'm ready to answer more questions, So get into the portal and ask some more, okay? I'll see you guys later. And I hope to see many of you over at the Summer Social right here in Nashville, Tennessee. It's going to be gorgeous, all right? See you guys later. Thanks, Kristen. Thanks, Jessica. See you guys soon. Bye.